Well, good morning, everybody. We're here at VIR today with the GT350. I should probably almost just stop saying with the GT350. I don't think I've been out in the old car this year. I don't think so. But anyways, we're running with the Shelby Cobra Mustang Club, so a bunch of Mustangs around today, other stuff as well. Now the big issue, if you notice, I got my old wheels and tires on it. I got the Sport Cup 2s this weekend, and the reason I got the Sport Cup 2s is I bent one of my wheels at NCM. Not exactly sure when it bent. I remember checking pressures and my front left just like was always a few pounds lower than my other one. Going over the car, spinning it, I could see like a big bend in it, and if I would try to inflate it, anything over like 26, 28 pounds of pressure, you would just hear it leaking out the bead. That's how bad of a bend it was. So anyways, with the old Sport Cup 2s, pretty much my personal goal will be go a little bit faster than I did on these tires last time. I gotta go back and look. I want to say I did a 206 something, you know, so not gonna set the world on fire with any times. As far as car stuff, if you watched my last video, NCM, with a lot of their slow turns, the push of the car was very noticeable. So I went up to 1,300 pound springs in the rear. Still have our MagRide coilover conversions on it, so we'll see how that handles it, but that's really it. It's a 2-day event. I don't really know what I'm gonna get into since I kind of got old tires on it, and at NCM I was really tinkering with like some toe settings. I'm gonna want to throw some more camber in the front. Oh, rear camber. I'm gonna put a little picture up. I found out if you have an S550, the little tab on the camber arm bolt on my car, it was kind of contacting the inner part of the rear subframe. So I could push it in, but when I would tighten it, it would kind of hit that, and I would lose almost like a ½ degree of camber. So I kind of cut that. I also put a washer on that nut, so when you tighten it, it doesn't want to like walk itself out. I hope that kind of makes sense. So I now have like a true right about 2¼ degrees of camber in the rear. I mean, but that's really about it. Again, with these tires, we'll just kind of see what we can do. Kind of just a fun, whatever weekend. All right, guys, so first 2 sessions in the morning are done. I didn't bring you along on the first one because it's kind of just a warm-up. Track's cold. Battery died on the second one. I did a 203.3. Honestly, the car feels not bad at all. It's definitely looser, for sure. Not so much to the point that I hate it. There's still a few things I want to tinker with. I kind of wish that like mid-corner, it would kind of, I feel like I have a mid-corner push, but I'm kind of honing in on it. So, you know, it's getting there. A low 203, given these tires, I don't think it's bad at all. Now, I was able to bring up my data. So the blue is today. Green is my 201.0, and that's on 3Rs, which are a much stickier tire, 305 squares. The red is the best I previously did on these Cup 2s, the exact same tire. So red, it's looked like right here, I don't really know what happened, but like the car definitely, like, you know, my speed going into the S is right here. And if you're not familiar with this track, you know, heading into the S's right there. Was good. I might not be giving these tires enough credit because you can kind of see how much I like lifted and coasted into the S's. Corner speed is pretty good in, I believe that's 11. So that's pretty neat. Kind of some of my turn-in speeds, that's going into 3, you know, and minimum speeds really aren't that bad. End of the straightaway, the blue, like I just did, 149, it's my fastest so far. Only by like a mile an hour, you know, a little bit of a headwind could be enough to bring that down. So as far as the car, I'm gonna tinker with some front alignment settings. But yeah, after 2 sessions, I better knock on wood that, you know, keeps going okay today. Alright guys, so as you saw on that one, it spun going into 3. I rewatched my video to try and figure out exactly what happened. I think my push to make this car turn in, make the rear a little bit looser, going into 3, I was just like a little bit further right than I should have been. So it's kind of a turn where you kind of like trail brake in a little bit and then kind of turn. And I think I kind of like a slight more step on the brake because I was like drifting a little bit driver's right, unloaded the rear, tried to catch it. That's what put me like way out, and anyways, kind of caught myself out on that one. So yeah, just kind of peek at a few things, make sure everything's still good, but should be, and go back out for next session, kind of see what we get. All right, so now that I got my spin out of the way, I'm trying to think how to make the car turn in a little bit more. I did add a touch of wing, because that is a pretty quick turn there to keep the rear hopefully a little more planted. But again, that's just kind of, I messed up on that one. Shouldn't have been like out that wide, and that was on me. Car still pushes in 1. I feel like it's getting better. It's like I'm honing in on it. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a little screen grab up of my car when it was on scales. Now the cross was a little bit heavy on the front left. Funny thing, when my other set of wheels were on it, I'll put a screen grab of that up, it was heavy on the front right. If anybody has any ideas as to how just swapping tires would change the cross weight, the tire pressures were all even. It's not like it was sitting on like a clump of like rubber on the tire, giving it some weird, you know, jacking effect. But anyways, so I think what I might do, another way to help the car turn, some people will say raising the rear. I'm already higher in the rear than the front by a decent amount, but because of that cross weight, I think I'm going to kind of jack the left rear of the car up. I don't know, I'll take an okay swing at it, 1/4 of an inch or something. That'll kind of put weight on the front right, a little bit off the front left, so turning, everything should be a little more evenly loaded then. I don't know, give it a shot, we'll kind of see. That's kind of what this weekend's for, just kind of, let's just like throw some changes at the car, see what happens. All right guys, so if we hop under my car, you can see here's our adjustable rear spring perch that'll fit, I think, any S550 Mustang. Swaybar and links anyways. So that's the jacking bolt that we turn. That'll move that perch up and kind of put more weight on this tire and the front right. Take a little off the right rear, left front. But yeah, so that's all we're gonna do. I'm gonna measure it from the bottom up. I'm gonna go up about a 1/4 inch. So last session of the day is done. The lap you just saw was a 204.0. The car didn't feel better, didn't really feel worse. But diving over data, still always a couple takeaways. Red line is my 204.0. Green was my 203.3 from this morning. Right here is where I had my little spin earlier. So you can see I'm kind of, a little bit under it there, way under it there. So kind of got to work back up to that one. More or less like mirrored it. But another cool takeaway, this is going into the S's. So if we come all the way up here, I'm sneaking up on that. But again, the green this morning, I was around 95 going through, and I'm about 90 now. So going in and picking apart these little things, maybe I can try and get like into the 202s on these tires, which I'd be happy with. All things considered today, tried a few things. We'll kind of see what we got tomorrow. Gonna be another handful of sessions, tinker with some stuff. That's really about it. Well, good morning, everybody. It is Sunday. Where I left off yesterday, I basically reset the car. I took that, I think like circle track guys call it wedge. So I relowered that left perch because the car didn't feel really any different. It definitely didn't feel better. So kind of just like reset it back to when I did that 13.3 or 13.3, 203.3. Other thing is I picked up my two best RT660s in 305. Gonna be a bit of an oddball setup, but it's just a DE day, so why not? So I'm gonna pull off the 295 Sport Cup 2s, put them on, kind of see what the difference is. So anyways, tires. I am on to swapping tires. Here's my RT660, 305, and we'll say it's about 11 and a half-ish, we'll call it. The 295, call that what, 10, maybe 10 and a quarter on a good day. Now it is a shorter tire as well. Might be a little hard to see from this angle. So that'll put my splitter a little closer to the ground. I might raise it up. The splitter biscuits are hanging in there doing their job, protecting the splitter, so that's not the worst thing. But yeah, I'm gonna swap on these only on the front. Let's hope it doesn't go from like kind of pushy to like a snap oversteer situation. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so the 305s are up front. One thing worth noting, you can see how much they stick in. Now I ran these tires, which are like supposedly OEM back spacing or something, with the 1-inch spacers, so they kind of sat much nicer. So believe it or not, even though these tires, like I just showed you with the tape measure, about like 1.5 inches wider, I'm actually losing a little bit of front track width, which is a little bit funny. Another thing to note, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, when I was swapping them in my shop, the RT660 305 is a good, I don't know, 1/2, 3/4 inch wider than the Sport Cup 2 305. So, everybody talks about tires run wide or whatever. So that's just kind of interesting. They're both 305 front and rear, but I have wider tires on the front than the back at the moment. So we'll kind of see how it is. All right, guys, so that session is done with the RT660s on the front and the Sport Cups on the back. Had a couple moments there. Balance definitely shifted forward for sure. Had to catch the car more times than I would like. Downloaded data, and I did a 204.0. I thought I had a fresh battery in, so unfortunately I didn't take you guys with me, but I'm diving into data again, and a few things that are kind of worth noting. Right here is turn 4. There's the track map. And earlier, if you remember, I was saying I was trying to shift or not shift. And if we bring up, where is it? RPM. So the blue, you can tell by the RPM, I carried third gear through it. The red and the green, I downshifted because the RPMs spiked right there. And if we, let's get rid of that. And if we kind of zoom in, it's like, you know, carrying third through it is, you know, right about just as quick right there. Now, right here is where it gets a little funny. Unfortunately, without the camera, I don't know exactly what happened. But if we bring in throttle position, so you can see how blue and green, I kind of start coming on, especially the blue, but then I have to lift. Then I'm back on it. That little bit of a lift right there, where the red, if we zoom in on the red, it's like I kind of came in the throttle, held it, didn't have to lift quite as much. I was on it a little bit later, which is interesting. But that right there, if we bring up the GPS, would be coming out of 5 down the back stretch into the S's. If we were to do a delta, let's get rid of throttle. So if we were to do a delta from, we'll say like mid-corner, we'll just pick a spot, to right about where they all cross over. And if you look down here, 3/10, 5/10. So that little tiny like lift or whatever I had to do to get the car pointed, you know, I lost almost a half second down that back straightaway. So anyways, just kind of interesting, you know. Since the balance of the car right now is actually not bad, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a session where I don't change anything and let me just kind of go out with a car I have a session under my belt on. Because that's always a little bit tricky. Making as many changes as I have on this thing this weekend, it's like every time I go out the car, you know, it's just a little bit different. Alright guys, so that session, as you saw, another low 204, I think a 204.1 on that one. It's funny, with these tires, the balance has kind of finally reshifted to the front. Now if you watched my last video, NCM, I actually softened the front sway bar. So I think I'm going to go back to the stiff setting on the front bar. Other thing I want to do is add some of these shims here to our front mag ride coilover kit. each one is 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna raise the front of the car 1/8 of an inch. That's all the shims I have, because I'm eating through splitter biscuits. Now that could be because the tires in the rear, I think, are a little bit taller, which would then kind of pitch the car forward and kind of make sense as to why the front is just like, feels like it's hitting everything, or scraping. So I'm gonna replace a few splitter biscuits, adjust the sway bar, add the shims to bring the front up a little bit. Those adjustments should kind of shift the balance back rearward, which is kind of the opposite of what I've been trying to fix. We only got one session left. Why not kind of just try a few things, whatever, kind of see what it does. That's about it. All right, guys, so quick update. I lied. I only went to the stiffer hole on the sway bar. The Ford Performance bars that I have on this, the front bar only has 2 holes, you know, a soft and a firm. And trying to stick with, you know, doing one change at a time. I kind of want to see if I can notice like just that change, just the bar. So we'll kind of see what we do. It's last session. I'll know in a few laps if the car feels good or not. But yeah, let's see what we get. Alright guys, so we're about loaded up. Wanted to close this video out. Got back in the 203s. Still just kind of funny that I did a 203.3 second session of the weekend, and haven't been able to get back to that. The sway bar change. It's only a hole that's another, I don't know, ½ inch away. It's not much of a swing. I honestly could hardly feel any difference. So gonna kind of just leave that as is. It's just kind of funny that the setup that I basically showed up at the track with was what I went the fastest on. So just some food for thought on that one. Interesting lap time at 204.10, 204.07, 204.07. And then my 203.9, and then my 203.3. So consistent all weekend, even though I was kind of making some changes. Nothing really to pick out. We're kind of getting a little bit, let me get rid of some of these laps. So blue is my 203.3 earlier. Red is the one I just did. You can see I'm braking later into one. I think because of my spin, you can see how I'm still leaving a little bit there. Carried a little bit more through, which is all right. A little slow through 4, would that be 5? Out the back straight, kind of just off a bit. Now I did carry more through the S's, but I was extra slow through, what's that, turn 11 up here. So threw away some there. This whole back straight, I was just a little bit later getting on it, but I did brake a little bit later. But then I did blow the brake zone. So anyways, got to tinker with a lot of stuff, so that was kind of fun, not having to really worry about much of anything. Definitely gives me some stuff to think about for the off season. I would really like to kind of make this more of a Max 2 car. That's gonna kind of require a sizable financial investment. I do want to get the race car back out there. I'm thinking about making that a GLTC car. Yeah, we'll see. But hopefully I'll have a couple shop videos for you guys in the off season. I think that kind of wraps this one up. So as always, guys, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.